I have a couple video clips left over from the original project a couple years ago that I'll show you and then quickly get into the finished system.
So here we are, and I guess I'll call phase 2, the front of the yard that I've talked about. I had originally capped pipe right there, so I cut that off. Add another length of pipe. It's going to go through the front yard that I've already dug up. So head there against the house, and as I mentioned numerous times, there's tons of roots and electrical and stuff that way. I started hand digging that way and it was taking way too long. So I decided to go around. So instead of going all the way to the sidewalk and under the sidewalk there, I'm going to cut across some more of the trench. So I cut across the yard and I'm going to go down the driveway, then over. So a little bit longer run, but I ended up having extra pipe anyways, so not a huge deal. And while there definitely were plenty of roots that I had to cut through over here, they were not as big as what I would have experienced next to that tree. So I think it was definitely a good move to go around it. Alright, so just a final payoff video. When I originally did the first couple videos, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago, I had no idea that there would be this many views. So just a quick video to show you the final system. So I've been very happy with this Rainbird unit. You can research it on your own, but very happy with it. It's been flawless. So very easy to work on and so on. You got a good view in there, but battery backup if you want it, but didn't fool with it. So there's the final system there, breaker box and so on. Coming down to the actual pump and valve assembly here. You can see four zones, 1, 2, 3, 4. This on the far left goes out to the front and then basically goes around the house. So got another run here that goes up to a hose bib, you can see right there, up to the front of the house. Just need to put another valve in right there. So that's something that I'll do here in the coming months and post that video. Give me kind of free water, if you will, to the front of the house. So here's where the well comes in. The filter system there. After about a couple years I started getting some algae into there, so it's maybe hard to tell, but I wrapped electrical tape around there just to kind of block out the sun. So the well comes up, runs through the filter, and then if you follow the system on, I've got a shut-off valve there. Goes up to the pump. Get some better lighting. Got a little port there, so if I ever need to prime the pump for some reason, I can put a hose in there and fill it up with water. Got a quick disconnect there, and another one up here. So if I ever need to replace the pump, that should limit the amount of work to hook it up to the system. Again, 4 valves. It's been perfect for this size yard, very small yard. The pump has been great, as well as the system. So absolutely no complaints, other than the little general maintenance that you have to do on heads. No complaints on the system at all, and I would not make any changes. That's that. There's a cover that I took off just for the video, but that's typically, I made a little cutout for the pipe, but a very good little shelter. I didn't bolt it down or anything, just kind of set it right over the pump. It's been pretty good protection for the pump. There's the wellhead. We actually brought the garden out to the wellhead just to make it a little bit so it's not sticking in the middle of the yard. So, but that was the closest they can get to the house. There's some sort of distance they have to be from the house. So, all right. So let's show you how it runs. So normally have it on auto. So I'm just gonna start the system and then run around the front of the house. So manual start. You'll hear it on. There she goes. Now I'll run around the front of the house. Alright, so there's the front yard. Got 3 heads in the front here. Probably could have done it with 2. One there, one in the middle, one on the corner. So just to give you good coverage here in the front. Grass is really taken to it. I think I had resodded this at the time of doing the sprinkler system. Not sure, but grass is doing great there. And then 3 along the sidewalk. All of this was planned out on paper before I actually laid it down. Made a couple changes, but the 2 over there. Got one kind of in the center over there. Looks to maybe needs a little head cleaning. Then back all the way to the fence. There's one in the corner over there as well. So again, the yard is doing fantastic with it. Very happy with it. So as I mentioned in the other videos, basically the pipe came from the backyard, cut over through the garden area there, and basically down next to the driveway, and then branched out from there. So there's the cable thing right in the middle of the yard, unfortunately, and all the roots were there, so that's why I did that. Just a head here in the garden, another one right there, one over there. So far it's doing great. So yeah, probably need to clean the filter out on that one. Even though I do have the big filter in the back, there's still some buildup that eventually gets in these filters. Sometimes maybe once a year got to clean out the heads. That head there actually, I don't know, maybe does about a 270-degree swing, and basically pointing at me. It gets the side of the yard over there, then swings all the way around, almost to where it's facing me. So that's zone 2. Alright, turn that off. And then we'll go with zone 3. Not too wet. There's one there. All along the back I've got the the entire backyard, I've got the rotary ones. Very happy with those. I probably, in hindsight, should have used a little bit more of those. They're very, they don't clog as much as the other pop-up heads. So I might have been able to mix some of those in here versus the pop-ups. So 1, 2, 3, 4 along the back fence, and 1 rotary head there, and 1 down on the end. So in theory, this one kind of swings around and covers areas. The other ones were already watering, and this one does the same. So a pretty good coverage area. I haven't done any testing as far as to see how much water actually lands in the yard, but again, happy with the result. All right, number 4. Here's zone 3. I've got a head there. One down by the garbage can. Grass is dead underneath the boat, obviously. Rotary head against the fence over there. And then another one there, and then one in the corner. So that's kind of the setup there. Very good coverage. Grass is really growing well over here. All right, so here's the front. Got 1 head there doing that little triangle area. 3 right along the driveway coming out towards me. 1 there, 1 over by the fence, 15-foot, 1 there, and 1 on the corner. Did like a custom one over there just to kind of help do the neighbor's yard. A closer view of that one. I had thought about moving, the fence went up after the sprinkler system, but I thought about moving that head a little bit closer to the fence, but it's fine. Getting good coverage. 1 there, 3 along the truck, and so on.
So here's the original diagram of the system that I did before I even put a shovel into the ground. Just took a surveyor's, I guess, image of the property and the house, filled in the green areas I filled in as the garden areas and so on. And this was very helpful to, I think, properly designing the system. I started out, most people will tell you to start out with, in any section, put heads into each corner and then fill in from there. So once you do it that way, I did them in each corner of each zone and fill in from there, and you can go along the property lines and against the house. And it really just takes care of itself. You may have a couple heads in a given zone that you may struggle where to put, but it was pretty straightforward. My property's not very large or not very intricate, if you will. So from that standpoint, it was very easy. So definitely having something like this to refer on throughout the project, I highly recommend doing on yourself. It was very helpful for me to have this to refer to. And also, as I've had to dig up a section or two, I know where the lines are. So roughly speaking, I can see exactly where the lines are going, in the yard. So just thought it'd be helpful to show you this. And again, I highly recommend that you diagram one up before you even start your system. Just one last note on the system, and what I wanted to do as far as the spacing goes on the system was to make sure that the heads would at least throw the water to the next available head. So just as an example, along the back line, I think it's 15 to 18 foot spacing, and the sprinkler head would throw the water at least to hit the next available or next closest sprinkler head, and vice versa. I've seen some recommendations that you should maybe have a little bit more overlap, especially if you're in a windy climate or something like that. But I've been very happy with the spacing that I settled on. But that's something, of course, that you'll need to take into account when you're designing up your system. So here you go. Here's a grand total. Here's the parts list and the pre-tax cost of each part. Rented the trencher at Home Depot. You can see the all the other items listed here. Got all those at a local warehouse store. Highly recommend you do the same. Fantastic quality, really good pricing, and of course you get to support local business. Here's a quantity of heads that I used, as well as the cost associated with that line item. Having the diagram, of course, designed up in advance was very helpful in the initial shopping trip and help eliminate the Home Depot trips, if you will, back and forth. There was a couple still, but it was pretty close. Here's all the PVC pipe, 2-inch from the wellhead to the system, 1.25 inch used as all the main lines throughout the system, and then it had runs from the main lines to each head of 1 inch. Estimated about $120 in glue and various parts that I didn't have listed here. And here's a grand total for the system. $1,200 is what I estimate for the system. I believe that I think 2 different people came out and bidded both over $2,000, so roughly $800. It was a lot of work, don't get me wrong, but saved quite a bit.